Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Corner.
Woohoo!
Yes, we're back.
We're
and
back.
This is today episode 66.
Yes.
Have you had a nice break? Here we're talking Christmas and New Year's.
Yes. I did. Yeah, we haven't seen each other since Thanksgiving.
No, it's actually been a while.
It's been a really long time. How are you?
I'm good.
It's been
I'm
like
good.
2 months.
Yeah, I actually had a break for the first time, so I chilled a bit. That's
Nice.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
But I was very happy to get back to a routine.
Yes.
Having candy for breakfast for like a week in a row and watching movies all day.
It's like such a bad
As a limit.
habit. You get used to like eating chocolate every morning,
Oh.
and then like the kids get used to it. So
Yep.
getting them off that habit is hard.
Yeah, what were we thinking?
Yeah, I don't know.
But good Christmas, good New Year.
Yeah, good. I like to joke with my clients. Still have all my fingers, so all good. It's such a dad joke. I know. I'm sorry, guys. Please.
Such a dad.
Yeah, it's such a. I don't know.
Ah.
I don't fucking know. Anyways.
Anyway.
Thanks for tuning in. We are today gonna talk a bit about some of our learnings from 2023.
That we're going to carry into 2024.
Yes, everyone's talking about predictions. We'd rather just talk about like what we learned and what that means for our new year.
That's right. We're always different, aren't we?
We're always different. We're
Always
trying to
have to
do
be difficult.
difficult. Like everybody can predict, but who can say they learned something? So, anyways, so let's get this started. Let's get this show on the road. What's one of the things you learned from 2023 that you're carrying with you into 2024?
I think one of the main things I've learned is these kind of changes in data privacy,
Yes.
the tracking and things that we've seen with Apple.
Yeah.
It's coming with Google. To make a high-level headline, it separates the good marketers from the great marketers. We don't have the ability to rely heavily on the data that we have now to see what's working, where we should be spending our money. And you can either let that ruin your strategy and frustrate you, or you can come up with new and creative ways. And I think that what we've seen is applying different techniques and different, almost kind of going a little bit back in time and old school, doing direct mail, for example, and different approaches that maybe had become not so trendy. By bringing them back, we're actually seeing a pretty good return on that. So, I think that kind of, that pivot of having to adapt to these changes is what shows great marketing.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good point. I think what and not to say prediction wise, but one of the big things that's changing next year is like Google is rolling out a bunch of changes. So the introduction of something called consent mode. Essentially, we're looking into a future where not even Google is going to help us with third-party cookies anymore, right?
Right.
So it at the end of the day, the simple version of this is this: it's going to be way harder to track. So tracking becomes harder, and what we've seen, like I find it really interesting from a SparkForce perspective. What we've seen so far, I thought it would hurt us a lot. I thought it would hurt marketing a lot. But what I've actually seen is that we transitioned into more of what I call brand marketing. Like some more the whole idea about creating a funnel. It's not about this tracking every single part of the funnel anymore. It's just about getting the fucking people into the funnel, like getting the people to sign up. Getting them into your pipeline, and that's different. And that I think that trend and that thing is something we learned in 20. It's not something necessarily just related to 2023, but it's something that's definitely going to continue. And more of the clients we work with also are allocating budget for the things that are not easily trackable.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. I find that really interesting, and also contradicts our next point we're going to get to in a second. But but I find that's really, really interesting that a lot of people that I looked up to and talked a lot to and have worked a lot with that were very, very ROI focused, very like we need to prove every single dime we're spending. Those people are like, yeah, but seems right.
Yeah, if it feels right. And that was the thing that we didn't have maybe 2 years ago, where it's like that gut. Don't listen to the gut, look at the data. And now it's kind of flipping around a little bit because you can't look at the data anymore. So you have to go with instinct.
Less
and
and less, right? Like, I like it.
I do too. Yeah, I think it makes marketing more colorful. It's more interesting. You pull in, one of the things that we are doing now that I never did in other roles is our SOMI person is heavily involved in a lot of stuff and moving things along. But whereas before SOMI didn't count, and I'm putting that in air quotes, because it didn't drive ROI. It didn't drive revenue, I should say. And now it's a huge part of our strategy because we see that the branding is making the sales funnel faster, it's helping with efficiencies, and it's spreading the word in a way that just purely paid wasn't able to do.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I think I counted it, like we've helped more than 27 clients this year, and we've done like, I want to say almost 50 audits or something. Like a lot of these audits is a classic marketing agency thing. But one of the things we've kind of found is that like paid search as a specifically like is really, really bad in a lot of cases. Like, don't get me wrong, we have cases where it's good. We do it a lot ourselves. So it's not like but there are so many cases, especially when we audit it, where it's just a waste of money.
Yeah.
And the reason we can see that is because we look in the pipeline. But the old like upfront conversion level stuff is looks good on paper. But it's just shitty. Like it's super, super bad.
And the thing that you need to make that good is better branding. You
Yes.
need people to Google you. You need people
exactly.
to search for your niche technology, your service, whatever that is. And that's where your branding comes in. And branding, I think, has been in the shadows for too long in favor of what is driving revenue, dotted line, first click attribution.
Exactly.
And now that's shifting. And I think that's great.
I think it's great, but I also think it's important to note, and I don't want to sound like a big like visionary here, but search is changing. Like it's not like a lot of people are like dooms people. It's like, yeah, search is gonna disappear tomorrow. Like, no, I don't.
No,
really
it's never going to disappear.
No, that's
Let's
not
be
happening.
clear. It's too much. Makes too much
But
money.
but it is changing.
Yeah.
Like the searches that like I use AI for a lot of searches. Like a lot of like I ask it questions I would ask Google previously, right? Like, and you're seeing it a lot with like all these Copilot being rolled out, and all like some of the engines starting to use Bing instead, right? So there's changes happening in search. It's not as clear cut as it used to be, and we're helping a really huge like a SaaS venture backed company from let's just say the U.S. Based in the U.S. Really cool, really super cool company. And they used to spend like 80% of their budget on paid search. And when we started to really, really dig deep, it was a horrible investment. Like it was a really bad investment.
It's very expensive.
And now we're transitioning them, and like it was kind of funny because like in the beginning we kind of like we told them, hey guys, it's gonna be like it's gonna mean that there's gonna be less MQLs, less leads up front, but there's gonna be more high intent stuff after all.
Yep.
And now they're like, our first surface level leads dropped by like 50%, but now it's like, okay, but actually our high intenders, our SAOs, sales accepted opportunities in this case, have increased by 20%. Okay, cool. That's what we wanted.
Job done.
Job done, right? And I think that trend, like that learning, is something I at least take with me, and I think it's kind of tying into what you're saying, and taking it with me into 2024. It's always been about focusing on the right things.
Yes.
At the end, right?
Yep. And the right, like for us, the content is replacing what we would pay and put into paid search, right? And making sure that our content is out there because it is more cost effective. Long tail takes a lot longer, but that is what's creating the demand, or at least the understanding that we exist. We help people, so we have to understand who we're talking to. Yeah. And that's the trick. You can't just splatter a ton of money into Google, cast your net super wide, and just see what bites. Actually, you have to know who you're talking to, what you're offering them, and that's where the good marketers come, or the great marketers come in.
Yeah, definitely.
They understand who they are talking to, what they need, and how you can help. Yeah. And that's going to be more cost efficient in the long run.
And just continuing, just rounding off this part here a bit. So the tracking also, I think you kind of alluded to it also, is it's bringing back old school marketing. Yes. Like and with that, I don't mean necessarily all the tactics and disciplines. Don't get me wrong; those are coming back as well. But it's more the thinking, like the more the strategy part of it. Yeah. Like because those suddenly like when you can't do proper tracking, like you gotta have good strategy. Like don't get me wrong, like you always gotta have good strategy. But it's just like when you. It used to be like I read this article the other day, and I don't think I've told you this actually. So there was this Danish article in this newspaper or like the news media called Markedsføring is Marketing in Danish. Anyways, it was some of the biggest performance agencies in Denmark are struggling big time. Like and it's struggling from not there's a little bit from a revenue perspective because they had really good times in Corona because everyone was home buying online. Funny enough, shit works. But what they were struggling with was the identity, their identity, because in the past it would be like, hey, we can help you with Facebook, we can help you with Google Ads, and we can just optimize everything. But now, since tracking's out the window, like the platforms are becoming so much easier to work with, that they're like, what is it we actually do again, guys?
What service are we providing?
What are we actually doing
Yeah.
here? Like, setting up a Facebook ad. Yeah, but it takes us 5 minutes. It's not really hard. So,
Yeah.
so what is it they're actually doing? And I thought that was really interesting.
That is interesting.
So for me, at least from Sparkforce, what I've learned at least is that you gotta offer more. Like, you gotta be more than just someone as a marketeer today. It's not enough to be the guy who sets up Facebook ads. You gotta think deeper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So if I were in-house in your team, and I'd be like, let's say I was a paid social person in your team, I'd be like, how do I make sure the whole thing's integrated?
Yes.
Like, how do I think deeper?
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's not necessarily new, but that's at least a little bit different.
Yeah.
I feel like.
It's something that I think was not valued as much before.
Yes.
And now it's totally valued. Instead of like, what is it, like kind of a wide reach, you want to actually narrow, small reach, but deep
Yes.
reach. Really getting those people in, because you'd rather have 10 really good, high quality, high value leads than 50 shitty leads. And that your sales team's going to appreciate that too.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's move on to the next one, because we could do this all day. I'm sure. What about yourself? Over to you.
So one of the things it's actually, and this is the contradicting part. So it's number 2, and I kind of want to. It's interesting. So what I think is going to be very interesting next year and 2024 here or now is efficiency. So for me, efficiency is one of the words that's like was all over the agenda of 2023, and it's going to be all over the agenda of 2024.
Yep.
And the reason it's contradicting is that with efficiency, essentially, don't get me wrong, you want to be efficient, but it's about proving ROI of marketing, right? You want to make sure every dime you put into marketing is efficient, is efficiently spent, but it's becoming harder to prove that.
Yes.
So it's kind of moving in different directions. You want to be even more focused on getting ROI on your marketing, but at the same time, some of the things are becoming harder to prove. So what I hope this means, and what I've learned, is that it's not learning because I knew this before, but like overall, one of the things I've been gotten even better on is like focusing even more on pipeline. Focusing even more on the things that actually create revenue, like the things you can actually see. And whether the source is from Google ads, Bing ads, whatever it is from source, that's not as important anymore. The important is marketing as an overall function is contributing.
And to add to that, sorry, we did an episode not too long ago. My computer's frozen, so I can't tell you what number, but it was KPIs for creatives. And that was also part of, how do you get your creative team, your product marketing team, your SOMI team, the people who maybe tend not to look too much at MRR, ARR, how do you pull them in, and how do you give them goals to show the way they are contributing to this? And it's things like branded searches. If branded searches are up, if direct traffic is up, that's a good sign that your branding is working, the things that you can't track. So it listens to some previous episodes, kids, to find ways that you can find KPIs that connect to the MRR to show the impact of marketing.
Yeah.
Even if you can't point to it.
As an example, right? Like all of our, I can't mention, maybe I can, but almost.
We'll bleep it out if we have to.
Yeah, no, but let's, it's always these like, it's like a finger in the air kind of thing. But let's say it's like 70%. 70% of all our clients are cutting budgets for next year. Like, and it's not because marketing's not working. It's just, they're cutting budgets.
Everything's being cut.
Everything's being cut.
Yeah.
And everyone you talk to, there's being layoffs and stuff like that. So efficiency is going to be the name of the game, and figuring out what that exactly means, I think, is an interesting case. Like what?
And that's sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that comes down to runway and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd want to. People don't want to apply for funding because there's less funding, so they need to make the cash they have last
as long as possible.
Yeah.
I saw a study the other day, or something similar, but I think it was like 3,200. SaaS or like venture-backed startups, scale-ups, like big ones, stuff like these, like Birdie, like these like scooters in the US and stuff, went bankrupt in the last 18 months.
That's wild.
Well, out of business.
Yeah.
3,200, like
You see huge companies making cuts.
and these are huge. Like
Huge
they were
companies.
evaluated, like had a valuation of 1 billion, right? Like all these kind of companies. So yeah, I think not to sound like a doomsayer, but I think we're in for a rough period. I have a feeling the first 6 months here is gonna be rough. I don't know. I'm not a stock market or anything, but yeah, I see it all the time. What I hear is that it's getting really hard to get the seed money. So so pre-seed and seed money in general, Series A. Series A is getting significantly harder. It used to be you could get Series A without having true product market fit. to be honest, like, which is also
Yeah, it's a
awful.
good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you really need to have proven product market fit, and getting to that stage is harder.
But you know what?
It's good.
Good.
Yeah, it's good. Like,
Good.
I actually agree.
I'm so sick and tired of these bullshit ideas being valuated at $1 billion because
Fuck yeah.
so many people just want to be the first to invest in something. I mean, you look at Theranos, you look at these WeWork, don't sue me, anyone, but there was a lot of dodgy shit happening out there. And now it's going to make the cream of the crop rise. It's the people who have the good idea, that have the product market fit, that's providing a service.
That's profitable.
That's profitable.
Or at least has a straight line to profitability.
Yeah.
Like, you always have these, like, I don't think it's hard to build a Facebook and expect it to be profitable day one.
No.
Right? And that's fair. Like, there are companies like that. But I think a lot of the problem is, like, we treated all the companies like it was the next Facebook. So all of them was like, yeah, it's not going to make money for the next 10 years. Dude, you're selling furniture. You need to make money. Like, it's not like...
This is not a bottomless pit.
Like, let's say, like I remember, do you know the company Casper that sells mattresses, right?
Yeah.
Like,
all over the podcast. Sponsor us.
Hey. But I need a new mattress. But I even have the same name. But that, I think that's a perfect example of people going crazy. It's like, they're selling mattresses. I know, like, it's digital, but they're selling mattresses, and it was like valued.
And you
like,
usually only need one for a really long time.
Like, one mattress is like, evaluation is not really stacking up. Like, and I can't remember the exact number, but I heard their CAC was like, they're like 4 times of what they brought in. So it's like, how do we turn this around? Whoopsie. And I think that there's so many of these companies, and I'm not saying maybe Casper has turned around. Maybe it's a good case these days. I don't know. But my point is just like,
it's about time.
It's about
time. It's
going
to happen.
I think it's good.
It's going to happen. We have a couple more minutes left.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about, this might be a little controversial for my sales kings and queens out there.
Yeah.
But one of the learnings that I've had through a year of focusing on holistic growth is there are more ways to make MRR than new customer acquisition.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think we should be focusing a lot more on retention, customer satisfaction, and being more customer focused, and enrolling your customers to do your own branding for you.
Yes.
It's much cheaper, much more reliable. People trust it more. It takes more work, but it's sturdy. Like, it feels sturdy as opposed to Google Ads.
And
thoughts?
I totally agree. And I want to add one thing that I've learned in 2023: pricing. It's funny. I read something the other day. Like, it is way easier to double your revenue than it is to drop your CAC, your customer acquisition cost, by half. It's way easier because, like, doubling your revenue, like, you can increase prices. Like, increase prices like 10% in buckets or something similar, and then you're there.
Yeah.
But decreasing your CAC, that's really, really hard.
Yeah.
That's not something you just do because you're like, it's an optimization process where the pricing is a lot about how far can you go, right? And what levers can you activate? So I think one of my learnings in top of what you're saying here is essentially, what are the other ways you can make revenue? Like, how can we increase MRR without having to spend money on marketing or spend money on sales or whatever, right?
And the good thing about, say, if you were to build, like, we did a tiering model, right?
Yeah.
So you can upgrade and you can add, and that is not calculated into CAC.
No.
In many cases. So if you have a customer paying one amount, you've got the CAC on that. But then if you upgrade them and you get them to pay more, that is money in your pocket without actually using marketing spend, sales time, and budgets and things like that. And that is something I think, at least from my perspective and my background, I have never worked in a company until now where I'm allowed to think about customers, where I'm allowed to go, how can I make the customer happier? I was always told, just get them to sign on the dotted line and move on to the next one.
Get the fuck out.
And get the fuck out. Like, leave it for CS. It's CS's problem now. And that was one of the things I thought was always broken with marketing is, like, we have a really good resource to help the help center, engage with customers, get them on a webinar, get them on a podcast, get them to come to an event. And doing that, we've seen a really good return on increasing our MRR while reducing CAC, because CAC is not part of expansion.
I agree. And I think a bit like to your point here, like, we talked a lot about in 2023 about product-led growth. It's like a big topic. Yeah. I think it's still a big topic in 2024. I think the search for PLG is going to increase. And here comes the controversial statement. I think there's going to be more failures, but I think there's going to be a few key wins.
Yeah.
So with that, I mean there's going to be some revelations around PLG that are going to be massive, and I think there's going to be more and more people realizing that PLG is not for them. Controversial, I don't know, but I think because I've seen so many people try PLG. I can't. I don't even know. And
It's
so
all
many
part of this efficiency play, though, isn't it?
Yes.
How do we be more efficient? Do a PLG.
And then they discover, okay, that's really not what we should be
That was
doing.
a lot of time wasted.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're in the middle of a PLG play. And it's not been a smooth sailing, but we're still confident that we can help at least impact our CAC. And one of the things we're talking about is we have a KPI, an MRR target for the PLG.
Yeah.
But actually, maybe we're going to shift that more to a CAC CS efficiency, play, because it's a lot more long term, but that is the point of a PLG. The PLG is not to turn up revenue, it's to increase efficiencies of your CS team and your sales team so they can focus on those upmarket high value deals, those more complex customer support cases. And that's the point I think that you should be looking at in a PLG. It's not necessarily, of course, take it with a pinch of salt. It's not necessarily for everyone. Get as many people as possible in your product. I don't want everyone in my product.
No.
And my product is not for everyone.
Yeah.
But I want the little guys who just want A, B, and C. Take care of them, self-serve, knock yourself out to keep my sales team and my CS team open for those more complex, high-value cases.
I totally agree.
Nice.
Cool. Last note, I just want to point out, so we talked about efficiency, but for me that also leads a bit into the last one, and we definitely have to mention this, like AI as a thing. Like
it is still a thing.
It's still, it's not. But I think the reason I bring it up with efficiency is because that's what it's supposed to do. For me, at least. For me, it's about efficiency.
Yeah.
Like that is the name of the game. One of the ways to drive efficiency is using AI. Like I'm not gonna talk about this episode, but essentially, just very brief, we built a model, like a Google Sheet model in SparkForce that essentially takes the ICP, so ideal customer profile of our customers, maps it out, and then creates ads for our frameworks that we can use as inspiration.
Okay.
Instantly.
Yeah.
So essentially, we take every information we have, and for each segment that's created by the customers, like, we want to target these, and we get all the information, then we create tone of voice, we create all these different, we create everything. That means that we can, in a launch time that's like used to be slower, I think we haven't tested that much yet, but I would be surprised if we don't speed it up by 50%, right?
Yeah.
And this is just a small example of saying, like, there's so many marketing departments out there where efficiency with AI is going to be game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're doing a lot of AI, at least for creatives, to help come up with new creatives and try new things out. We use it obviously for content, but we don't use it to create content. We use it for inspiration. We use it for, there's only a handful of 2 people on my team that are native English speakers, so they like to check their, so they use it in those kind of sense of efficiencies to kind of improve their own personal
We use
efficiency.
a lot for editing.
Editing stuff.
So we have an amazing videographer, Sean. He's fucking amazing. So he doesn't use it as much, but whenever he's like out of capacity, I'm like, yeah, guys, I got this. I'm like, CapCut, can you do this? And like, cut, boom, done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So good shit.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Short but sweet.
Yeah.
Looking back and looking forward.
Yes. Always.
Twofer.
Yeah, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. Boom. And on that note, peeps, thanks for tuning in. And good to be back.
Good to be back. See you.